Welcome into another myth-busting episode. Because right now, the press and the internet, they'd have you believe that in this market, that there's no way first-time homebuyers can afford to buy a home now without mommy and daddy gifting them the down payment. But the stats, they tell a different story. There are ways that buyers can buy on their own, and the numbers show it's actually happening. And one of the main mathematical misconceptions is that the high interest rates make home buying right now impossible. So today, I'm going to explain to you the secrets behind how informed first-time homebuyers beat today's high interest rates. And this is without a big down payment. Let's go.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time homebuyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers.
What's happening, How to Buy a Homies? Okay, bad news to start. People are lying to you. The good news is, one of the big lies about your ability to buy a home is that high interest rates make it impossible to find affordable options. It's not true. As I reported in the last episode, the true least affordable time for first-time homebuyers, it's not this year. It was 2023, followed by 24 and 25, then where we are right now. And we've coached successful buyers in all of those previous less affordable years. And in 23, 24, and 25, interest rates were at 8 and 7%. So today, I'm going to share all the techniques that How to Buy a Homies used to find affordable home buying options with rates that were actually higher than where we are today. Because recently, what I've been noticing is that suddenly, a whole lot of real estate educators, they're acting like they've just now discovered that first-time homebuyers are confused, overwhelmed, and don't think that there are any solutions for them. Okay, cool, I guess. I mean, good. I'm glad they're doing something. Maybe the industry is finally waking up. Or maybe right now, since things are a little tough and they have to do some work to actually show people how to do this, maybe their businesses have finally decided that, oh crap, we should really start paying attention to first-time homebuyers. Well, we've been doing that here since 2019. And I would like to show you that right now, in what feels like really dark times for homebuyers, you do have solutions and options. Like I tell you every show, you can do this. But I get it. It's kind of tough to believe because emotions are high right now. It's easy to get really discouraged by headlines, hot takes, or fear-based content. But in this market, the truth is, you don't need to be the buyer with the most money to find something affordable. Check the receipts here. We've got over 120 interviews from buyers who purchase homes from $200,000 to $1.8 million. And the real secret to affordability, it's not found by crunching as hard as you can and grinding to get the best interest rate. When buyers understand the game, we've been able to help them find affordable options with true mortgage strategic advisors, education-first advocates who help people save money by building them the best strategy through the right loan structure, the right loan programs, and the patience to show them how to complete the game before they even play it. In my role here for the last 7 years as your protective real estate unk, I've been telling you that in any market, there's always going to be scary factors. But the clarity and the peace that you're looking for starts with education, solutions, and empowerment. Because when you understand all of your options, you can get that complete grasp on your numbers. And that's when this whole thing starts to become possible. So let's talk about mortgage interest rates. We are now 4 years past that all-time low where interest rates got to a ridiculous 2.66%. And I got to tell you, if you're still holding out for rates to drop down in that range again, even if you're waiting for 3 or 4% interest rates, I love your optimism. But it's time to end that fantasy. That ship has sailed. Those rates, they were artificially manipulated because we were dealing with a once-in-a-century global pandemic. They were never meant to last, and they're not coming back. So today's interest rates, we're dealing with the reality of inflation, tariff blowbacks, oil prices, of course, gas prices, the Fed talking about raising their rate, not lowering it, which has made most of the major economists predicting that we should get used to interest rates for a home mortgage in the 6.5% area that we're in today. But the good news is, when there's volatility and economic turmoil, most buyers, well, that's when they run and hide, which of course is opportunity for you because you're here getting the truth, not believing the fear, and you can use solutions to your advantage. All right, let's do this. How the hell are you supposed to buy a home when interest rates are at 6.65%? Did you notice that's just one digit off the sign of the devil? I know, scary. Tip number 1. First, you got to understand the rules of the game and find your cheat codes. Right now, that's 6.65% interest rate. That's the average interest rate on a 30-year fixed conventional loan. But many of you out there will qualify for an FHA loan. And that average rate right now, it's 6.18%. And for military and veterans, the VA loan, they're averaging 6.2%. And those are zero down payment loans. And there are other loan programs that offer better rates than the averages. First-time homebuyers can use what's called a USDA loan for rural areas. And there's also a couple random programs out there called Home Ready and Home Possible. The key here is understanding that the numbers that you see, they're just the averages. So hire an above average lender who can give you a whole picture, not just a rate quote. So you can be shown multiple different ways to save with multiple different loan products, loan structures, and here's one for you, how your realtor negotiates your offer. And I want you to remember, all these first-time homebuyer options, they do not need 20% down payment or 800 credit scores. And you can even find more affordability because a lot of these loan programs, you can also pair with down payment assistance grants or programs that free up your cash. That means you can use more money towards lowering the interest rate instead. But there's an even better way. If your realtor works your negotiations for you, you can get the seller to pay for lowering your interest rate. That takes us to tip number 2, mortgage interest rate buy downs. And I love these when they're paid for by the seller. This one is huge. It's a tip that I've been coaching here on the podcast since 2023 when rates skyrocketed up to 8%. With the right team, your realtor can help you and your lender find affordability by creating a financial plan that includes negotiating to get the seller to pay for a mortgage interest rate buy down. And the basics work like this. The rates that you get quoted, the ones that I quoted at the beginning of the show and the ones that you find online, those rates are usually for what we call a 0-point loan. But with any loan, you can pay extra points or like an extra percentage or parts of a percentage, what they call discount points. You could pay up front and you can buy a better interest rate to get a lower monthly payment. You're basically making a trade. More money that you bring in at the closing in exchange for a lower monthly payment. But since most first-time home buyers aren't coming in with a ton of extra cash right up front, this doesn't make a ton of mathematical sense unless your badass realtor negotiates to get the seller to pay for it. What you do is you use a no cost to you temporary mortgage interest rate buy down, which gets you a gigantic discount on your monthly payment for years 1, 2, or 3. So for example, for a 2-year buy down, it's called a 2-1 buy down. This is how it looks. In year 1, you're paying 2 full points lower, 4.65%. In year 2, you pay 5.65%. And then in year 3, you go back to today's rate, 6.65%. On a $400,000 home, that 2-1 temporary mortgage interest rate buy down, it's going to cost about $8,000. Get the seller to pay for it, and you're going to save $400 a month in your first full year of payments, $200 a month in year 2, and if before you get to year 3, where you have to pay the 6.65%, just like you would if you got a regular loan today, well, if the rates drop below that, you can refinance into that lower rate, and then you're never going to have to pay today's high interest rate. And today, in many regions in the country where the sellers are offering credits to the buyers to get their homes sold, it's happening because so many buyers are not out there putting offers on homes. They're scared. They're chilling on the sidelines, but those sellers still need to find a buyer. And when we're talking about a home for $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, you'd be surprised how many sellers are willing to kick in 8, 10, 15 grand because they're making so much money on the sale of their home. Here's the math for my favorite trick. If you're looking at a $400,000 home and you feel you can offer a little less to get a good deal, instead of coming in with the lower price, like offering $392,000 on the $400,000 listing, go ahead and offer the full $400,000 with an $8,000 seller credit back to you, and then use that to pay for that mortgage interest rate buy down. Now, why would you do this? Well, math. The difference between a home bought at $392,000 versus a home bought at $400,000, you think you're getting a great deal at the initial negotiation, but you're seriously only saving $40 a month. But the same home, when you ask, hey, we'll do $400,000, but we want that $8,000 back so we can do a mortgage interest rate buy down, you're going to save $400 a month for a year and $200 a month in year 2. You get a seller-paid monthly discount that helps you afford the monthly payment today. And when the rates hit those lower numbers that everyone else is sitting on the sidelines waiting for before they actually go out and buy a home, you can refinance into that exact same rate. The only difference is you actually own the home, which you purchased at a cheaper price, and you also haven't paid rent for the last couple of years. Instead, you've gained equity and financial stability. Okay, tip number 3. This is a core philosophy that I have been teaching way back when. In fact, I'm wearing a really old and tattered Believe t-shirt today from Ted Lasso because that's how long I've been teaching this, way back when, season 1. This one starts with you knowing your numbers and looking at a partial down payment strategy. We're looking at how to use a low down payment strategy to find affordability. Once you run your purchasing scenarios at today's high rate, you can also run this scenario, lowering your down payment to keep more cash. And by holding more liquid money in the bank, you can create your own slush fund. That makes the higher monthly payment more manageable each month. Hang with me on this one because this is one that a lot of people don't know the full math. All right, let's say you've saved 10 or 20% for a down payment. Rather than putting all of that down because you want to, quote, lower your monthly payment, unquote, let's talk about why I put air quotes around that phrase, lower your monthly payment. Because people are getting the math all wrong. There are 2 phrases that are killing the blue collar and the middle class sections of our economy. And they're being used by renters to keep them from buying a home. And here they are. Bigger down payment to lower their monthly payment. These phrases are killing the American dream. Mark this moment in the podcast, write it down. I don't know, stick it on your computer or on your fridge. Phrase number 1. Hey man, my rent's only $2,000 right now, but that $400,000 home, that monthly payment is $2,900. So the math says that it's definitely more affordable for me to rent than buy. Okay, that sounds logical, but it's wrong. It's mathematically incorrect. And it's just because most people out there, they're not getting the full information. So if that's you, go to episode 460, the real rent versus buy spreadsheet that's going to blow your mind and bring you some hope through my good buddy, math. And the second phrase goes right along with that. People say, man, with interest rates and prices so high, I have to put down a huge down payment in order for me to get a monthly payment that I can afford. And plus, if I'm above a 20% down payment, I can avoid PMI. Okay, real quick, if you think PMI is expensive, again, that too is also mathematically incorrect. There's no way to say it except that the rule of not getting PMI when you buy a home, it is absolutely not based on facts and math in today's market. And it's not your fault that you might believe this because that lie is still out there. It's still got legs, and I honestly do not know why. But no worries, the math is there for you, and that's in episode 464. If this is what you've been told, and if this is what you believe, check out the math and then make your own decision. As for the statement, with interest rates so high, I have to put down a huge down payment in order to get a monthly payment that I can afford. Here's the actual math. If you have 15% right now to put down on a $400,000 home, but you think that you need to put down the biggest down payment you can so you can get a monthly payment that's lower and more affordable and so you can avoid PMI, here's how it works. A $400,000 home at today's interest rate of 6.65%, if you're putting 20% down, that's going to cost you $2,538 a month, all in. That's PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. The same house with 5% down instead of 20% down, the monthly difference is $454. We add on top of that the PMI, which I checked with the lender recently, and at that price point, you can get PMI for about $91 a month. So the grand total on the difference between 20% down and 5% down is $545 a month. And because that is a financially significant difference, this is where most people stop. And they think that the only solution for them is just to buckle down and keep saving, all the while watching home prices that keep rising. Episode 457, if you want to know why that's happening and why it will continue to happen. And all the while they're paying rent at the same time that they're trying to save up that extra money to get to 20% so they could save money. But in this scenario, if you have 15% right now on a $400,000 home, 20% is $60,000. Okay, but here's the math. In this scenario, if you've got 15% right now on $400,000, 50%, $60,000. So that means you've got to save another $20,000 so that you can save $545 a month. Think about that. Even if you could save $1,000 a month to get to that better, bigger down payment that's going to save you $545 a month, that's still going to take you 20 months before you can buy a home. All the while, prices increasing, and you're spending almost 2 full years of rent lining your landlord's pockets instead of building your own wealth and security. Or you could look at the numbers for buying with a 5% down payment today. Now, that means you're only going to use $20,000 of the $60,000 that you have saved right now. You can keep a $40,000 slush fund, and you could pay that difference of $545 a month. You could pay that for 73 months, over 6 years, and you would never feel a hit in your monthly budget. And you're also going to gain 2 full years of home appreciation and tax benefits with this rent replacement strategy with the low down payment, which gains you the biggest exponential growth in your financial picture that you can get: time as a homeowner. I swear to you, this math is all broken down in episode 460. There's a real 6-item spreadsheet that I will explain to you there instead of the 3-item spreadsheet that most buyers use when they're looking at how affordable a home is. You will be freaking flabbergasted by the real numbers. In today's high rent inflationary market, you don't save waiting to get that bigger down payment or avoiding PMI. And that's not me saying that, that's the math. Let me break down just one of the principles that I explained in the rent versus buy episode. It looks like this. On the example that we're talking about, you've got $40,000 in the bank paying for 6 years of that extra $545 a month. So if during that time, let's say that your rent went up $200 a month each year, in just 3 years, that means you'd be paying an extra $600 a month anyway. So you'd be in the same place as you are with the $545 payment today. But if you use the low down payment strategy now, you would have owned that home for 3 years with a fixed payment that now, 3 years in, is something that you would have had to account for anyway. And you've paid for this home, you've owned it for 3 years, and you still have $20,000 left in the bank. And there is much more to that formula, but sadly, not many realtors or even the lenders take the time to fully show you the real math of what you can do. But let's be honest, a buttload of them have never heard of this, don't understand it, and wouldn't know how to calculate this for you anyway. And you know what? Fine, because now you know. You want to go deeper? That's episode 457 and 460. And the entire low down payment strategy is broken down in even more detail in episode 426. If you're new to the show, that's how it works here. There is no one magic episode for everyone. So I often will mention topics that I've dissected completely for you in past episodes. Best way to buy a home for you? Build your own playlist of education so you can rock this with supreme confidence. Let's go right to tip number 4 now. Builder incentives. Yeah, right now, new home builders, they're in a bit of a quandary. They're kind of hurting because all the buyer fear that's happening out there for the people who don't know all this information, that's squashing new home sales. And they're offering some really killer incentive to get their inventory sold. That's bitching. Take advantage of that. But here's the warning. Be careful. Home builders, they're all about profits. So they can be pretty shady when they're giving you a so-called great interest rate. So here's your protection tip. Don't ever call them directly. Don't ever visit them directly and sign up for anything. And don't sign up for anything online to get more information. Don't do that on your own. Get yourself a killer real estate support team. Grab a realtor and talk to them and say, hey, would you get me the inside scoop on what those crazy incentive 30-year fixed rates are all about? And then they're going to talk to the builder and get that information, because otherwise, and this is the truth, it should be illegal, but it's not. The builders, if you reach out to them first and they make a connection with you, they forbid you. They do not allow you to have your own representation protecting you in the deal. All the details on new home versus resale homes, that's episode 392. Tip number 5. Now this one, it is definitely not for everyone, and it's not omnipresent everywhere. You have to think of this as buying like an investor if you want to use this. And that means you're not going to have the selection that you want, and you're also going to have to come in with more cash up front. You have the option to maybe get one of those 2 to 3% interest rates from yesteryear. It's with something that we call an assumable mortgage. So if someone's sitting there with that interest rate, and if all those other factors work out, you can assume their mortgage and buy their home. Episode 326 has details on that. Tip number 6, improving your credit before you start applying for a home loan. This is still one of the most powerful interest rate levers to get you a lower rate. When you're buying a home, the interest rate you can actually get with your approval, it moves with every 20 points on your credit score. So if your official mortgage middle score, the one the banks use, not your Credit Karma score, if that's sitting at 715, with just a 5-point bump, you could lower your mortgage interest rate. All the details on that are in episode 403. Tip number 7, this is a little bit more of a complex formula that you have to do for yourself, but it goes with the mortgage interest rate buy down that we talked about having the seller pay for. Because if you're in a buyer-friendly market, your unicorn realtor can negotiate credits for you. Now, it's up to you. You can think about using them against your mortgage interest rate buy down so that you get a lower interest rate, but you can also look at potentially finding it to use with different parts of your cash that you need to bring your closing. Because the seller might be giving you credits for your closing costs, but they also might be giving you credits for your post-inspection repairs. Or at the very beginning, you can adjust the terms of your original contract to reduce the usual closing costs for buyers and put them on the seller side. And then you and your unicorn lender, working with your realtor, can create all those terms that are more advantageous for you. And then you can run different scenarios, including maybe you have the seller pay for half of your interest rate buy down, but with the terms in the contract, you can pay for the other half. In general, the cash that you bring in can be used in multiple different ways to help you determine the most affordable way for you to purchase any particular home. And tip number 8. Now, this last tip, it's another tactic that most old school financial advisors put a blanket statement on. They say, never use an adjustable rate mortgage. But you know what? I never see them show their work behind that blanket statement. I mean, you might have heard that you always should be using a 30-year fixed loan. It's the safe and responsible way to buy a home. And you know what? Most of the time, I usually agree. And that's why most of the techniques that I've been coaching here, they are for a fixed 30-year loan product. But if you're a bit more savvy, or if you use a more savvy lender that can explain all of this to you, all the long-term math behind an adjustable rate mortgage, you might find some incredibly affordable options that fit with your personal and financial goals in buying a home. In episode 433, there's an interview with Elizabeth. She bought a home in 2025. She only put a 5% down payment because her PMI ended up only being $40. And she ran the numbers with her lending team, and she elected to use a 15-year adjustable rate mortgage because that meant that her payment was $550 lower than her current rent. And for Elizabeth, this was a starter home, not a home she was going to stay in for 15 years. She reviewed all of the pros and cons, and she decided to go with an adjustable rate mortgage. Now, I have to make sure that I tell you, if you go out and you tell some random lender that you want to do an adjustable rate mortgage without getting all the full details explained to you, don't come back to me and tell me that you got screwed with a 5-year ARM or a 7 or a 10 or a 15. This is not a hack to use just to get a lower payment. This is a strategy that needs to be understood by you and your team. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because in today's market, where most first-time home buyers, maybe they're not able to afford something that they are going to call their forever home. Maybe their first home is going to be a stepping stone. Looking at an adjustable rate mortgage could be something to explore, and with the right plan, it can be a game changer. Okay, now that you've got some tips along with the data and the facts, and you might need to go look at those other episodes to get all of it to make sure that you really have your brain wrapped around this one. Okay, now that you've got all the data and the facts, and you also have the resources to go back if you need more of some of those tips explained to you with the episodes that I mentioned, let's get real on some stuff. There's so many people out there that are waiting for the interest rates to drop. Okay, let's do some real dollar-to-dollar comparisons. Let's say that you haven't explored this completely, but you've seen enough to go, you know what, I'm going to wait till next year, mid-2027. Now, let's say that by some miracle, interest rates drop from 6.65% to 5.65%. Now, most economists don't see that happening, but most aspiring first-time homebuyers, they think that's their only way into this unaffordable market. All right, let's run the numbers. Okay, first of all, remember, if by some miracle, which is most likely not going to happen, interest rates do drop to 5.65%, well, 70 to 80% of the buyers, they're sitting on the sidelines waiting for that to happen. So when they do, what do you think is going to happen? Everybody jumps back in and we have massive competition. And what does that do to the home prices? Bidding wars on every home mean prices are going to go up. So sure, you're going to save 1% on your mortgage, but you're going to end up paying $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 more for the home. The same home, by the way, that you could buy right now at today's rates. So let's do the math. Scenario A, you buy now. $400,000 home, 6.65% interest rate, 3% down. That monthly PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, plus PMI, private mortgage insurance, so your full total monthly payment, $3,065. All right, now let's look at the math for scenario B, waiting a year for that lower interest rate. Well, the purchase price has gone to $450,000 due to the increased demand. You got that great low rate, 5.65%, but now your monthly PITI plus PMI, $3,143. So even if interest rates drop an entire point, today it's $3,065. Entire point, year later, $3,143, $78 more each month. And oh, don't forget, at the same time, since you're going to have lots of competition bidding on the same house as you, your cash is going to be maxed out and you are not going to be able to ask the seller for any credits because anyone who does that isn't going to be the person who gets the house, which in reality means that this entire formula is much more in favor at the 6.65 than the 5.65 because today, with less competition, you'll be able to get serious discounts in the form of credits that are going to be out of the question when rates go down and you're bidding against 10 other buyers. Oh, and also don't forget that since the 5.65% house costs more, now your taxes, your insurance, and your down payment all go up too. And here's the other big kicker. The informed and unafraid buyer from today who got in earlier with a higher interest rate, they've already started building equity. In this example, for that same house, they're sitting on $50,000 worth of equity. And hey, what if homes don't go up $50,000 in a year? Well, say they go up $25,000 a year. It's the same thing, just cut in half. Instead of it being $78 more a month, it's still $39 more a month, even if the home only goes up $25,000 in a year. And if the bidding wars happen, it's definitely going to push it up at least that. If you don't have all the information, the I'll wait for a better interest rate mindset, it does seem understandable and logical, but it's just mathematically not correct. It's so flawed. The demand is still out there right now, and the lower rates are only going to increase the competition, and the prices are going to continue to rise up. And I know prices still going up sounds illogical. Yeah, I've been hearing that since 2015. Go back and listen to episode 457 that explains the data on buying or waiting, because that has the secret that never makes the headlines. Supply and demand controls everything. Say it with me now, everybody. Low inventory. In the game of real estate and buying your first home, there is no perfect time, especially when you're looking at the interest rates. There's only your personal right time. So what determines that for you? Comprehension, clarity, and then planning. A professional team that builds a game plan around your situation. When you change your mindset from, all right, when I buy a home, I'm going to get the best deal, to building a rent replacement strategy, that's when you develop the winner's mindset for today's buying environment. Buying a house when it's a deal, that's a consumer mindset, like you're, buying a purse or a bag or a car even. That's what get people caught up in the rate watching and the media drama. But remember, you're not buying a depreciating asset like everything else that the consumers end up buying. Buying a home, this is about financial transformation for you. Your rent is the largest monthly bill that you pay. For a lot of people out there, it's 30, 40, and some people it's even 50% of their take-home pay. The rent replacement strategy says, use that money. Take that money instead of spending it in the black hole while you're playing the waiting game, trying to figure out if it's ever going to get more affordable for you. Use that money right now. Build your equity, your leverage, your future. Once you got that, and then you commit to replacing your rent with a proven financial plan, everything changes. Suddenly you realize that your largest monthly payment can be transformed into a tool, not a monthly burden. You're going to see today's higher rates as temporary, while the equity that you gain, that's permanent. You're going to stop watching the market like a nervous squirrel and you start executing your own personal custom plan. And hey, if you're working the plan and it doesn't feel like you want to do it, cool. Don't do it. But working a plan is the only way that you can discover, do you have options to find affordability? And I understand that a lot of you think it's too late, but the reality is that here in 2026, it's not too late. This is your personal early. Because the best time to buy a home was 5 years ago, and the second best time is as soon as you can with a plan. I've been coaching first-time home buyers for 2 decades, and you don't make money buying a home trying to time the market. You make your money with your time in the market as a homeowner. And I always advise to people, you can't control home prices and you can't control interest rates, but you can control your plan. I don't usually like to speak in the mantras. I just like to lay out the facts, the math, and the real world stuff, because it'll show you that straight up, if you look back from the numbers of 2021, yeah, it's going to kind of suck when you're looking at being a first-time home buyer right now instead of then. But you know what's going to suck even more? Looking back in 3 or 5 years from now at what you could have done today. All right, let's close out this interest rate mythbuster with some global perspective on what it is that you're trying to do with your home purchase. This isn't just about buying a house. If you've had me in your ear holes for any length of time, you already know that this podcast isn't about real estate. This podcast is about personal transformation, taking control of your life. Your first home is a pivotal point. It's the move that shifts your financial trajectory for the rest of your life. It changes your relationship with money, gives you options, stability, and like I said, the big one, control. Home ownership literally and figuratively opens doors for you. People who've bought with a rent replacement strategy, they understand that, suddenly they're in a new position. Now they have a monthly payment that they can predict. Now they're sitting on tens of thousands in equity. Now they're more confident in making other career or life decisions because they have a stable, predictable, understandable piece in their life, an asset that gives them options. That's the real power of home ownership. And I'm telling you, you haven't been told all the ways you can do this. The internet and the corrupt real estate industry have been lying to you because they see you as too much work for not enough money. They make you do all the planning on your own. And if you do reach out to them, most of them are going to tell you, you're not ready. You don't have enough money saved. Dude, not with these interest rates. Maybe next year for you. The industry, it was never built to help first-time home buyers win. It's built to move volume. It's 100% catering to the sellers and the repeat buyers, not first-time home buyers. And it rewards everyone in the industry who goes after the big commissions. So now that you know the rules of the game, then create a plan that exploits it. And I'm absolutely not saying that everybody's best play for their life is 100%, everyone should go and buy a home tomorrow. That is totally not what I'm saying. I am saying everyone should start planning now, and then you decide what works best for you. Because when you build your plan with a unicorn realtor and a lender who specialize in the first-time homebuyer strategy building, they're going to walk you through initial budgeting, credit score optimization, custom loan options that you're not hearing or finding on the internet. down payment strategies, and your personal timeline that works best for you in your target markets. Because right now, the average age of a first-time homebuyer is 41 years old. And every time I hear that, it's a freaking gut punch. I'm so upset with the industry not telling you everything that you need to know so you can make this happen. Because there are so many people in real estate saying, oh man, first-time buyers, it's tough. They can't buy right now because of these home prices and the interest rates. No, it's because renters aged 21 to 40, they're not given the path. They don't know that they can affordably buy a home. They never get the real answers from a real estate professional team that has their best interest in mind. So yes, interest rates are still high. So what? You've got options. You have information. And you can find a team that's ready to guide you. You can do this. Wait. JT, stop the music. No, that's not the end. I wasn't finished. I have more. Because the best time to buy a home, yes, it was yesterday. But the reality of today's market is the best time for renters out there to buy a home is the moment that you can on your own afford rent in your area. And you owe it to yourself to explore the options of taking control of your life as a homeowner. Build the plan, take the steps, and you know what? Go get your damn keys because you can do this. No, wait. Sorry. Stop. JT, wait. I forgot. Don't play the music again. I forgot to mention, if you want more detailed information on the home mortgage process, listen to the jam-pack how-to episodes in the podcast library. Episode 399, don't get pre-qualified, get a plan. Episode 340, down payment assistance, discovery calls, and lending myths. Episode 346, mortgage planning, why act early. Why, who, what to do, and how to do it. Episode 454, first-time home buying lending options in 2026. How to find the best deal when shopping for a mortgage. And episode 483, top 10 mortgage questions every first-time home buyer needs answered. Okay, that's it. For real this time. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuyaHome.com to get started.